The PvE threats of Arc Raiders are numerous, and if you're unprepared, absolutely deadly. In this video, I'll be talking you through the best ways to take on each type of Arc enemy, focusing on both the easiest methods to pull off and those that require a low resource investment. We'll cover everything from the Hornets to the Bombardier in this video, with the only one not included being the Queen, because honestly, I think she deserves a video of her own. Until then, let's jump in and kick things off with the Hornets. Okay, so I know these guys aren't exactly the toughest human exterminating robots you'll see topside, but they can give new players especially a bit of a problem early on. So I wanted to quickly cover the best way to take them out, and most importantly, how to dodge their taser attacks. Killing a Hornet is much like taking down a wasp. You essentially just aim for the rotors. Keep in mind that the front two rotors are armor plated, meaning that you'll see more success with heavy ammo weapons against these ones in particular. If you're using light ammo weaponry especially, you'll probably just want to target the rear two rotors if you can, although this is a bit tricky in practice because of the angle that you're facing them. To dodge their attacks, simply wait for the 3 yellow targeting lasers to combine into one. They will then flash red just before firing, which is your cue to perform a dodge roll. If you just go in spamming the dodge roll, they will compensate accordingly, so there is a skill element when timing your dodge here. The closer you are to them, the harder this dodge will be to perform, so a little bit of distance can help a bunch as well. With that out of the way, let's move on to the Leaper. Now, these ground-based striding robots are vulnerable to two things, and that's tight spaces and fire. So blaze grenades and fireball burners both make for viable choices when attempting to take one down. You'll probably want to bring 3 just to be safe in case you miss a throw. The most important part of this method, though, is your positioning. Leapers struggle to get through small doorways and can't reach you when indoors, so using buildings to your advantage, like these bunkers on the spaceport for example, is always advised. Try to make sure you land the grenades on the center eyepiece of the Leaper, that way the fire will spread to all 3 limbs. Aiming your throw can be a bit finicky in these situations though, which is where my alternate and preferred method comes in. This is without a doubt the easiest way to kill a Leaper in Arc Raiders. This involves the use of a blaze grenade trap and a jolt mine. I don't know about you folks, but I end up with a lot of spare traps in my inventory because I don't find a use for them that often. Leapers are one of the few Arc enemies that we can use them against, since they quite literally throw themselves towards you at the very first chance they get. A single blaze grenade trap will shred through a Leaper's armor when detonated, so simply place one down, shoot the Leaper until it launches itself into the air, and then take a few steps back. I like to combine the blaze grenade trap with a jolt mine just to give myself some extra insurance and keep the Leaper inside the fire while it burns away, but this really isn't necessary. I just have far too many jolt mines laying around at this stage. I find this tactic a lot easier to pull off than throwing grenades, since I don't need to risk embarrassing myself by missing the target several times, and it seems to kill them with just 1 mine rather than the necessary 2 or potentially 3 blaze grenades needed with the previous method. Next up is the Rocketeer, and despite being a terrifying opponent for an unprepared raider, especially those that aren't equipped to deal with heavier armor plating, the Rocketeer is actually one of the easier of the larger Arc enemies to take down once you know the proper strategy. For this, all you'll need is an anvil and enough ammunition. 40 rounds roughly should do it. The reason we're using an anvil is that it's one of the easiest heavy ammo weapons to get your hands on and has a relatively quick fire rate, which is going to be important here. While the Rocketeer's thrusters are technically weak spots, just like the smaller wasps and hornets, they're also covered in armor plating that needs to be chipped away, and as such, you're better off using something with strong Arc armor penetration values, which again makes the anvil a great choice. Now, before engaging a Rocketeer, make sure you have ample cover, preferably inside a building or close to an entranceway. We shouldn't need it if this goes to plan, but you can never be too safe considering these guys can down you in as little as 2 hits. Start your attack from as far away as possible and aim for a single thruster. Taking out 2 thrusters will send the Rocketeer plummeting to the ground and often kill it outright if it's high enough, but even if it doesn't, they'll be easy enough to finish off once they've hit the ground. The Rocketeer is deadly, but it's incredibly slow for a flying Arc, and as such you should be able to kill one before it even gets close enough to you if you've carried out this method correctly. I'd also recommend putting some resources into upgrading your anvil if you can for this particular method, in order to increase the fire rate of the weapon and thus allowing you to get more rounds downrange before the Rocketeer has a chance to close the distance between you. Just as a final note here, wolf packs of course make this a done deal, and one is practically enough to make a Rocketeer an easy kill. That said, I think many players are going to want to save these grenades for queen fights in the future, and I wanted to showcase this method because wolf packs really aren't needed if you handle things the right way. Okay, so moving on, we're looking at the Surveyor next, and I know this arc doesn't try to kill you, at least unless you back it into a corner when it tries to run away, but it can prove very frustrating chasing these rollers around for those that haven't got the right strategy yet. With that in mind, this method should ensure you get the kill every time, even if you're solo. You'll need one showstopper grenade, which to my knowledge can only be looted and not crafted right now, and 3 trigger nades, which thankfully can be crafted fairly easily after completing the necessary quest. Now, the Surveyor will usually attempt to run away from the player, and as such you'll want to sneak close enough to land a showstopper grenade as your opening attack in this fight. Now, as soon as that's done, switch to the trigger nades and lay it on thick. Don't hold back here, use all the grenades while the Surveyor is stunned, because you will not get much of a chance as soon as they start rolling into the distance. Detonate all 3 grenades, and you should find this is more than enough to destroy them. If you don't have any showstoppers available, you might still be able to land a couple of trigger nades on the Surveyor before it tries to flee, and from there it should only take a handful of shots to finish it off. The Surveyor is fully armor plated except for when it is actively surveying, so I'd suggest bringing a heavy ammo weapon for the best impact if you're going without the showstopper grenade. Just a quick note here that any pieces that fall off of the Surveyor can be looted, and any of those pieces could hold the valuable Surveyor vaults that you're after. So make sure to keep track of where these bits land if you end up having to chase them around a little bit. Okay, so next we move on to the Bastion, and the first and easiest method to take down a Bastion requires 3 things: a friend, or at least someone you can tolerate, a Torrente, and a lot of ammunition, which is thankfully very easy to craft. Honestly, the Torrente is optional. You can carry out this strategy with just about any weapon, but this one undoubtedly gets you the kill the fastest. When setting up, try to make sure that you and your duo partner are on either side of the Bastion with ample cover, preferably on raised ground in case it decides to try and maneuver for a better shot. After all, we all know the value of the high ground. Use your friend to bait the Bastion into turning around by firing the first shot, then simply crouch to increase your accuracy and aim for the small yellow canister on the rear armor plating. Don't hold back here, just empty the magazine. You want to put as many rounds as possible into the Bastion's back while it is turned around. This yellow canister is entirely unarmored, and this is why the Torrente is so powerful, with a large magazine capacity, a high fire rate, and reasonable damage. Unlike some other Arc enemies, you do not need a heavy ammo weapon with high penetration damage to kill a Bastion, thanks to the fact that the weak spot is unarmored. Once you've got the Bastion's attention, simply step back, reload, and wait for your friend to pull its attention again before repeating the process. You should find that you're able to kill the Bastion incredibly quickly, usually within 3 reloads of a Torrente. Explosives are of course effective here, but are also more expensive than simply crafting some bullets, and for that reason this is my preferred method. If you don't have anyone available to give you a hand with taking down a Bastion, I'd suggest bringing 5 or 6 trigger nades and sticking them to the Bastion itself each time its aim resets. Other grenades like snap blasts or heavy fuse work fine too. The Bastion is obviously quite slow, so it's fairly easy to land hits with whatever grenade you have available to you. What I will say is that it's really not worthwhile trying to take down a Bastion solo with basic weaponry alone. The time it takes you to actually bring one down by shooting the knee joints is almost certainly going to draw hostile raiders to your position, and it makes it far more risky than it has to be. You're better off investing some supplies and explosives and dealing with it quickly so you can get looted and get out of there. Now this brings me lastly to the Bombardier, and this is an interesting one because it possesses all of the same weak points as the Bastion, but with the addition that there is no armor plating on its main body. If you weren't really familiar with the Bombardier, this might make you think they're going to be easy, but you would be sorely mistaken if you attempted to fight one of these in the open. Bombardiers are lethal, and because of that, there is no room for messing around here if you're a solo player. We want to kill this thing before it even really has a chance to fight back. Firstly, you're going to need 5 or 6 trigger nades. Similar to my preferred strategy when fighting a Bastion solo, this is going to allow us to kill this thing as quickly as possible. Their mortar fire is absolutely devastating, and as such, the biggest thing you'll want for this encounter is a position to start throwing these grenades from while having a roof over your head. This will make it considerably harder for the Bombardier to land shots on you while you take it down. It also effectively means you can ignore the spotter drones that help it triangulate your position. So long as you have a building for shelter, you will be relatively safe. It can also be handy to bring along a showstopper grenade if you have one, just so you can effectively lock them in place and hit them with as many trigger nades as possible before it even starts opening fire on you. The alternative method to killing a Bombardier is much the same as the Bastion. You just need a friend who's willing to take its attention while you focus your damage on the rear canister. That said, this is going to mean that you'll both need a sheltered building on either side of the Bombardier to make this work, and that is both very specific and very awkward to pull off in practice. You'll likely both find yourselves having to risk repositioning through open spaces to get a better shot during this encounter, and as such, I do just think it's worth spending some crafting materials here and coming with the proper explosive ordnance for this one. Yes, you're investing some supplies, but it is also incredibly worthwhile. So that should cover all of the Ark enemies you need to know about and the best ways to take them down. Now stay tuned for a Queen video coming in the not too distant future, and whether you're new to Ark Raiders or already an experienced player looking for some more advanced tips, you might want to check out the other video we already uploaded last week. I guarantee there's something in there that you didn't know. All that said, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.